December Waterworks and Lighting Commission meeting to order. And in the first order of business, I would request approval, additions or corrections to the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
The only addition that I would offer is that the notes should reflect a compliment to Sean for the great work that he did in the capturing of the focus on energy funds for the community. So thank you for that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So the action item, water distribution material supply quotes. Adam, you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, so every year we go out for our mass order for the this will be for the 2024 construction season. And we submit requests from supply manufacturers and distributors to give us a quote based on what we're going to need for that year. And so we were able to get 3 complete bids. In the past, sometimes we've only been able to get 2 bids or partial bids based on not being able to deliver hydrants to our specs. So this year was actually pretty successful. We were able to get Core Main, Ferguson Waterworks, and First Supply all to bid. And surprisingly, they were all within $7,000 of each other for the whole season. So it was a very competitive bid. First Supply reached out to us and did say they were trying to develop a better branch office in Plover, so that might see more competitive bidding in the future. Currently, we use Ferguson Waterworks for the last multiple years. They were the lowest bidder, and that will be our recommendation based on these results.
And you've been pleased with their results in the past, haven't you?
Yes, they excellent service, and they've always been the lowest bidder.
But they delivered what they sold?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're not delivering Chinese pipe?
No. So a couple years ago, the DOT, when we did a DOT project over on, it was the intersection of 8th Street and East Grand, they required all US made parts. So at that point, if we did have any foreign made parts, we transitioned them over to US made.
I would entertain a motion for approval of Adam's recommendation.
I'll move to approve to accept Ferguson with the low bid.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So Adam, you have the floor. Any comments? And then we go into safety committee. I see you're first on the list for discussion. Any comments on safety?
No.
Anyone? No? I have a question. When you do this emergency plan and fire extinguisher training, do you cover, like if a transformer fire or a control building fire?
We do not, right, John?
I mean, yeah, when we're talking fire extinguisher training, it's really not fighting fires, it's more, again, emergency action plan. So in those instances, if we did have that, it's more about what to do in that case, so making sure you call 911. If it's something in like the substation house where if it's a small incipient fire, something small you can handle with an extinguisher, by all means give it a shot. But we're not in any way training firefighters, we're just training something quick for smaller fires. It's out of that control. It's stressed to make sure you call 911 and get yourself to safety.
Okay. Is there anything that we do with the local fire department in terms of the type of fires that we might have that they need to be aware of?
I did some training with them last year, or well, this calendar year, I guess, last spring. with both the police and the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, and me and, I don't know if you remember when Moses was the electrical engineer here, me and him did a year where we actually invited both the police and fire departments to our building to do a training on electrical hazards, not particularly fire, but electrocution. And unfortunately, we got a real low attendance. I think we had less than 6 people show up, even after contacting them and making multiple sessions. So we never followed up on that after that.
I would think it'd be important to know where the critical equipment is
Mhm. Yeah.
and chemicals for water treatment.
That might be worth to
Revisit.
revisit that.
Yeah.
The other question I had on this is, you know, the hazardous material that has traditionally been in transformers is being replaced. Is it a new hazard that no one has really identified yet, or is it truly a safe material?
I'm pretty sure it's a safe material because I'm sure they did a ton of studies, but so we went to a material that was developed made from corn oil, and the best property about it is it has a very high temperature flame type exposure. So they'll actually show you videos of people putting hot poking irons into the material, and it actually extinguishes the poking iron, and then they'll have videos of the standard mineral oil versus that new material. And once that fire starts on an existing mineral oil, it's, you know, just like a piece of dynamite going up, versus this, it doesn't like self-propagate the actual fire.
Okay.
So as far as I know, it's a safe material, and the industry is very much leaning towards it now. So,
Good.
yep,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
Line superintendent? Any questions for Josh?
90 trouble slips. Is that normal this time of the year?
It's not out of the ordinary, that's for sure, yeah. I mean, between 70 and 100 is pretty much month after month.
Okay. So it's not specifically weather related?
No, but in fact, when it gets dark early, then we get a lot more because it's the streetlight calls.
Oh, okay.
What about these fires? Anything significant?
Couple were complete, total losses. And we've already had one this month already, so,
Not good to see that.
you know.
Water projects? Any comments for Adam?
The crews perform the Wisconsin DNR quarterly disinfection byproduct. What's involved with that, Adam?
So every 3 months, we go and perform 4 distribution samples throughout the city.
Okay.
And that's just a requirement by the DNR, and so they're looking for elevated levels where organic matter combines with the disinfectant, which is our chlorine, and they can create a hazardous material. And so if it gets above, let's say the TTHMs, which is your total trihalomethanes, if they exceed 80 parts per million, that's what they view as a hazard.
Okay.
So right now, we typically are running in our last one in November was 50, in the mid-50s, so we're well below the 80 parts per million.
Do
So
they-
the chloramines and formaldehyde, is that what they're looking for?
The one we're looking for more is chloroform.
Chloroform.
Yeah, that's one of the total trihalomethanes.
Do they recommend where to take samples from, or do you?
They have
just-
designated sites.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're high,
If you exceed that, then they'll end up putting you on for non-compliance, and you have to do excessive flushing to try to get those compounds out of the system.
Thank you.
customer service support supervisor's report. Any questions for Lynn?
Yeah, I do. The commercial disconnections, are these the same ones month after month? I mean, is there a rhyme or reason to this?
There are some that are monthly. There's a few. Some of them are just ones that there maybe was a change in who pays the bill and they go up for disconnect. If a commercial customer continuously doesn't pay their bill, we charge them a deposit.
Okay.
But that still doesn't deter them from going up for disconnect.
A lot of good work has gone into this control that has actually kept the tax roll amount in range, so thank you for that.
I will relay that back to the office staff. Thank you.
How did the recent landlord meeting go?
It went okay. I mean, they had a lot of questions about the tax roll this year,
Okay.
but it went okay.
I would think they want to revisit that this
Well,
time of year.
it's kind of fresh for everybody right now.
Right.
So, and there were a couple landlords that unfortunately did have a tenant that had an extenuating balance that they had to take care of.
Okay.
This is more of a question for you, Sean, on this focus on energy, the Currents and Waves publication. I see this link to get a home assessment. What is that? Is that just like a questionnaire, or do they actually come and look at your house? What's the deal?
It's actually, I believe, it's an application they can fill out online, and they can assist if they need insulation or window sealants. They help them out with the free energy packs. So it's unlike the businesses where an energy advisor will come and do an on-site assessment. Simply they help them out with their online, what they put in, and a lot of that's based off of their income as well.
Okay, so it's an internet exchange, pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah. Director of Finance report? Questions for Jeff? Any negative reaction to the rate change?
No, I don't think we've had many calls at all that I'm aware of, so it's, I think like everything else going up, just part of people realize it's gonna have to happen.
And this financial accounting change, any implications for the commission or for the utility?
With our financial statements?
Yeah.
No, we'll just have to develop some new templates and kind of come up with, kind of rebuild the statements that you see now,
More work for Jeff is what it means.
basically. I've been reaching out to some other utilities too, just to kind of see what they give their commission, to try to kind of give you guys the best of everything that we can do for you, so. We can do. So you might see some changes, and then again, if there's something that you don't like, we can adjust and go from there.
And you're starting preliminary audit this week?
They were here yesterday and they were remote on Monday, so
Okay.
the process has already started, so far so good.
Any questions from anybody on the financials? It's good to see that we have funds to invest at a good interest rate.
Give them all we can, so, yes.
We were cash flow positive so far
Mhm.
for the year.
Good place to be right now.
The water treatment, what's the expense driver there?
I think the main part there is chemical increases. Just the cost of chemicals have gone up quite a bit over the last couple of years. You can kind of see see year over year over year, kind of that increase from 21 to 22 and 22 to 23 is
Okay.
substantial.
There are no other questions for Jeff? We'll move to information systems. Any costs involved in your training for the Microsoft security system?
No, it was all part of the.
Part of the deal?
Part of cost, yeah.
Have you heard from them yet?
Yeah, they wanted to set something up for yesterday, but I wasn't available, so I think we got tomorrow, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
Is it like one day to do it, or?
it's a couple hours.
Couple hours,
Yeah,
so not a big deal.
no.
There are no other questions for Matt? Sean, Key Accounts Conservation Manager report?
Thank you for your efforts with working with the school and Clockworks. Looks like it was worth your time. Okay.
You're welcome.
Is Lincoln High School the only school, or have you been in all the schools, or?
They are moving, speaking with Superintendent Ed Allison, said they are moving into the other schools to look at those as well.
Okay, so
I
as
believe
of,
they're at the junior high. In this company, that's what they specialize in, is the public schools.
okay.
So they basically monitor what's using what, when?
Yes.
Does that include like a remote control then of what you can do when?
To some extent, I think their chillers and stuff are set on, thermostats so they can control it that way. And of course, like in the case of Lincoln High School, the dishwasher being one of them, that's just gonna be human practice when they start it. I guess for what they're paying them on their savings, I think it was well worth it to them, so they have at least some data to give their board in order to do it and make the changes. I think it is definitely something they could have worked through the utility and me with those things.
And kept
However,
their
I
money.
wouldn't have that. And that was discussed too. But they're not gonna have the data to support it with the actual, board.
No more questions. Electrical engineer report? Any questions for Tyler? I liked your pictures.
Well, I'm glad that switch gear, switch over or transfer worked.
Me too. Are we that close with the water towers?
It was a little sketch there. I mean, I was like cheerleading and saying, let's get going here. Because I was watching the water towers drop over that time period, because I think we started at about 4:30 and it was 2:30. And you get to that point and you're like, yeah, it's 50%, 49%, 48%, So yeah, we would have had probably another 5-6 hours, but I just wanted to make sure we got it going. Because if you once you power it up, if you run into another problem, then you really are scrambling. So yeah.
Okay. So that leads right into your report, Todd?
Yeah, Tyler and I were doing the same jobs for the month. We were pretty busy. So our reports are pretty identical.
So is the capital budget pretty well?
Yeah, we were looking good up until, but yeah, I'm sure that when Jeff gets to the end of the year, we'll have spent pretty much all of it. But we had about 25% left, I think, at the beginning of November, if I remember right. Yeah, but now that we did the 69 kV switches, and now that we did that, installed the filter plants equipment, I'm sure we're close to budget. But I was always taught at Consolidated, if you're given the money, spend the money. So that's what we do.
But it's all in the timing too, because the material and labor resources available and
Yeah.
the schedule is.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's good to get a jump on it.
Yeah, we were more often restricted by what you could actually accomplish.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions for Todd? So, general manager's report. Jim?
Questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Why don't you put in a small nuke instead of more solar? We're gonna be overboard on solar.
Well, next week, Monday and Tuesday, the board will be meeting for 2 straight days, try to figure out what we're gonna plug in those holes. Conference call again on Monday with ACES for an hour and a half or so too in the afternoon. So we'll be planning that to see what our members' appetite is for owning and installing our own generation. Probably looking like we'll do something in thirds, like a third renewables, third thermal plant, either reciprocating engines or a small combustion turbine, and then the other third will be bilateral contracts. That way we're diversified, and if the market gets away from us, then we're still okay. So it's not gonna be all solar, no.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Now, if we had higher mandates than the 9 or 10% in the state of Wisconsin, then we would have to, but right now we're fine with the wind farm, 50 megawatt farm that we're taking output with.
the solar developments are,
Well, this one will probably come back if the price is too high anyway. We're supposed to get preliminary pricing tomorrow on that project, so we'll see if we're even talking about it next week. It's only 5 megawatts, so.
any other questions for Jim? Okay, review of accounts. See, we get a administrative service charge from the city.
We do, that's been something we've paid for a number of years. It's offsetting HR, finance, and the city attorney.
Mileage should cover that.
Especially since we don't use those services typically.
Yeah,
An attorney,
I would say that, yeah, I don't know if we're getting $10,000 of.
I mean, that was put in place long before I arrived, and the amount of it is not that much, so we really haven't.
Yeah, we push back. Tell me what this inactive refund is.
So these are customers that have a balance either because they've had a deposit or they overpaid on their account. They might be a budget account and are over for the year, but then when they stop having service with us, it's the process in our customer database to just kind of clean those up so they get an actual check back from us if they have a refund owed to them. So every month, I think that process just runs once a month at the end of the month.
Sweatshirts for the water crew.
Yeah, every 2 to 3 years, we'll upgrade their clothing if they need it, if it's winter jackets, sweatshirts, anything that they're gonna beat down from wear and tear of the construction season.
Water main break season.
What's that?
Water main break season.
Oh, okay. They're gonna need more than a sweatshirt. There are no more questions on accounts? I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
May I have a second?
You may, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.